So because of my drawing skills, even if you understood the concepts perfectly, and maybe you've seen this kind of idea before, you still might get different equations than me. But here's how I would do this, right? For each of these different parts of the data, for east and west, I'm going to try to write down what I want the mean of y related to x to be with an equation. And then I'm going to try to write one overall equation. So let me try that. So I'm going to say the mean of y given x when w is equal to 0, in other words, we're on the east, should be what? So how do I do this? All right, well, let's see. When I need an intercept, so when x is equal to 0, and I tried to draw it so that you'd get 10. Okay, it's okay if you got something else. And then I need another line, another point to help me find the slope. So I tried to draw it so that when x is equal to 20, we get 0. In other words, when x goes up by 10, no, when x goes up by 20, the mean of y went down only by 10. So I've got a negative 0.5 for that slope. So that's my first equation, that's this one. And if I have the mean of y given x when w is equal to 1, those are the Western values. So I tried to draw it so the mean would be right around 30. I need another value. So I tried to draw it so that when you have x equal 10, you're right around 40. Let's draw that line. Okay. So the intercept is supposed to be about 30, right? Again, you might have found something different. And the slope is supposed to be about 1. So you go up by 10 in terms of x, and you go up by 10 in terms of the mean of y. Okay. So those are my two equations. And so now my goal is to write down one equation that includes or implies both of them. So how do I do that? Well, what you do is you start by writing down the equation for the case where w is equal to 0. So I've got 10 minus 0.5 times x. And now what do I want? Well, what I want is for the intercept to change from 10 to 30 when w goes from 0 to 1. In other words, I want the intercept to go up by 20 when w is equal to 1. So I'm going to write 20 w. And what else? Well, I'm not done yet because I also want the slope to change, right? When w is equal to 0, I said the slope was negative 1/2, but I want the slope to be positive 1 when w is equal to 1. In other words, I want the slope to increase by 1.5. So I'm going to just write that. I want the slope, 1.5x, to increase when w is equal to 1. Now, why did I write it this way? Well, note that I can also write this like this. 10, I'm just rearranging the order of the terms, plus 20 times w, plus negative 0.5 plus 1.5 times w, x. Why did I write it this way? Because here's my intercept, and here's my slope. This is now, once again, in the form of something plus something times x. And I like it this way because now I can figure out what the intercept of my line should be by plugging in w. So if w is equal to 0, then my intercept is 10, and that's what I wanted, so that's good. If w is equal to 1, then my intercept is 10 plus 20, that's 30, that's what I wanted, intercept's all set. What about the slope? Well, the slope is whatever you're multiplying x by. If w is equal to 0, I've got a negative 0.5. That's what I wanted, all set. And if w is equal to 1, then this entire slope says negative 1/2 plus 1.5. So that's equal to 1. So 1 times x, hey, that's exactly what I wanted. So this, turns out, is the way to write down one equation that summarizes the pattern we see in this data set.